All right, we are back. So I have some splaining to do. First of all, elephant in the room. Why am I wearing a sleeveless shirt? It's because it's very hot in my room and I got the AC on. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I was not turning off the AC in order to record this podcast. I love you all dearly, but it's just not going to happen. Um, Other elephant in the room, why is this coming out now? I recorded the podcast last night 3 different times. There was a bunch of technical errors that came along with it. So I decided that I would just kind of take a beat, record, figure out the problem in the morning. I don't work until later on Thursday, so I said I'll take a beat. I'll kind of figure out what the problem is. I fixed it, and hopefully, praying to God that I knocked down the headphones. Praying to God that just everything is fine and we're all good. But I do apologize for that. I know it's the first week from a new schedule and everything, and I'm already screwing it up, but I promise you it will not happen again. It probably will, but as far as I can see, it's not going to happen again, as far as I can make sure that it doesn't. So sorry. Sorry, I'm texting my brother because we're getting new AC installed and he's able to do that. So, Phil's, Phil's, I mean, what here's my thing, and I've said this in previous episodes before, and I know it's going to sound very cocky and very like, oh, look at you. It is very hard talking about a good baseball team because they're doing everything right. And at this point, if I'm complaining, I'm nitpicky. There is some complaints in here about a couple particular players, and I think all the listeners and Phillies fans know exactly who I'm talking about. But um it's just uh, it's hard. It's hard because I want to complain but I can't, and it's such a blessing that I'm currently in a position to where I do not have to complain about my baseball team anymore, because everybody knows since the beginning of this podcast that it's just been complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint. It's not like that. Bless be that it will not be like that for a while. And then yeah, so good times. And now I got to unveil this shirt. So over the weekend, Ashlyn and I we went thrift shopping. I did pick up some new shirts and there was a new place that opened up around me. So kind of wanted to check it out. She needed to pick up some new stuff as well. So we decided to check it out, spend a couple hours in there, and I made it out pretty well. I got a couple new work t-shirts or excuse me, a couple new shirts for work, a couple new pants. Then I came across this gem. So are you guys ready? Like, like, come on. It it doesn't get better than this, right? Oh, and I also grabbed this one. Hold on. Right. Look at that. $3. Are you kidding me? God, the air feels so good right here. It's so hot in this room. You have no idea. Anyway, yeah, I picked up that shirt. Um, and it was the best $3 I ever spent. Sorry, it's we're discussing different things. Okay. Phil's. Since our last conversation, the Phillies took 2 out of 3 from the um St. Louis Cardinals, and they swept the Milwaukee Brewers. But Jared, the Phillies can't beat teams over 500. They can only beat the bad teams. That's what the media has been telling me. Oh, it turns out the Phillies are really good at baseball. What a crazy idea. I know. Wow, that's crazy. No duh, the Phillies are able to beat the teams. They not only looking at, and I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but I'm just on it today. Not only did the Phillies beat the Milwaukee Brewers, that Milwaukee Brewers team was red hot. Going into that series, they were averaging 5.6 runs per game. And the Phillies held them to 3 runs in 3 games. Or 2 runs, excuse me. To solidify my point even further, 2 runs in 2 days. Or three. To solidify my point even further, the Philadelphia Phillies held the red hot Milwaukee Brewers, who coming into that series were averaging 5.6 runs per game. They held them to 2 runs in 3 games. Thank you. Anyway, that's pretty good. That you just look at the starting pitching. Obviously, there's a big elephant in the room about the starting staff, and we'll get to him. But Zach Wheeler is a front runner for the Cy Young Award. Might just F around and win it. But his teammate might take votes away from him and Ranger Suarez. And yes, we had that scare with Ranger in that Saturday game against the Cardinals, but it looks like he's going to make his next start in London. So that's a big win for the Phillies. And then you have Nola, who has been fantastic. Chris Sanchez is molding slowly into a superstar pitcher. And then there's Taiwan Walker, and we'll get to Taiwan Walker in a minute because I don't feel like complaining about Taiwan Walker right now. Is a good vibe. God, my hair is. I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. Okay, so or Saturday, one of them. This will still be there. Don't worry. But the sides are gonna be clean. Yeah, look at that, dude. I got wings for God's sakes. Yeah, like what are we doing here? What are we doing? But it's just the starting staff is fantastic. You can't really take anything away from them because they're just good. They're just the Phillies are just a wagon. Like, can people just accept and understand that this Phillies team is a wagon? They are so freaking good at baseball. And I'm tired of the narrative out there going, oh, they can't beat teams over 500. They only beat bad teams. I don't care. They are taking care of business, doing the job that Phillies fans and the rest of Major League Baseball was begging them to do, which was start hot. And they have started hot and have not slowed down, despite having down years from Kyle Schwarber, down year from Bryson Stott, having Trey Turner on the injured list for over a month now. We have injuries to Brandon Marsh, but this team is just so good. And they have that mentality of next guy up, next guy up. Who's going to be the next guy to step up and take us to the promised land? It reminds me so much. And I know it's different sports, but it reminds me so much of that 2017 Super Bowl winning Eagles team. When obviously you have Carson Wentz going down with that ACL injury. He was going to win the MVP that year. Obviously, Nick Foles comes in, wins it, next man up mentality. And that's kind of how the Eagles have molded themselves kind of over the past few years. And the Phillies are kind of adapting that. You know, for the longest time, we kind of saw them be like, well, if Harper goes down, what are we going to do? We kind of saw a glimpse of this, and this is how you kind of knew this team was different. You signed Schwarber, you signed Casty going into 2022, and it was kind of like Schwarber became the leader of this clubhouse. Casty has become we'll talk about Casty in a minute. But kind of this accumulation of leaders and men on this team and picking the young guys up. And obviously the Phillies were not going to win under Joe Girardi. That's abundantly clear because they didn't. And they've taken off with Rob Thompson because of Girardi's inability to play the younger guys and his inability to just accept the fact that it is okay that young guys break out and are good. He just didn't accept that fact for the longest time. And they were never, I don't want to like pull anything, but I got to bring this closer. And it was kind of like when in 2022, when Bryce Harper got injured, when Blake Snell hit him in the wrist and he was down, we were ready to be like, that's it, pack it in, go next year. But no, this team it was the next man up. Who's going to step up now? And that's kind of what this team is doing right now. It's the Edmundo Sosas, the David Dahls, the Cody Clemens, Stubby. You know, obviously he's not replacing anybody, but it's those low level, not low level, bench guys, the marginal guys who are stepping up when Harper's cold, when Schwarber's cold, when Bomer's cold. It's those guys stepping in and becoming just, oh, the team is so good. Kind of to I kind of touched on it. Um, I kind of touched on it a little bit. However, Brandon Marsh is placed on the 10-day IL with a hamstring injury. He hurt it during Sunday Night Baseball. It was almost immediate. He was grabbing at his hamstring, going, "Hey, hey, hey, like help me, help me, help me." Um, you know, they said it's mild, which is very good. And fortunately, the Phillies have a stretch here where they only play 2 games in 5 days. So hopefully he'll only be out for a few weeks. I don't think it's nearly going to be as severe as Trey's hamstring injury that he sustained over a month ago at this point. I think we're going to see Brandon Marsh before we see Trey Turner back, in my opinion. I think that's just kind of the way that it looks like it's trending. I hope I'm right. Well, I mean, listen, this team is performing at this level. They are statistically the best team in baseball without their superstar Trey Turner, with Harper being streaky, with Schwarber not really being the same player, Casty struggling, Bomer's having an all-star type year. And yes, we will get to the all-star game because I want to talk about that. Um, but the point is, the Phillies, it kind of relates back to it's the next man up mentality. And that's just something that they've been lacking, but not anymore. And then Cody Clemens placed on the IL with back injuries. So we'll see with Cody. My guess is if Trey makes it back before him, he'll be transferred back to AAA. In my opinion, I don't think it's much of a hot take. I don't think it's much of a shock or anything like that. I think Cody Clemens deserves to be on this roster way more than Whit Merrifield does. Whit Merrifield has been a massive disappointment in a Phillies uniform. And I, for one, was very excited when the Phillies signed him. I thought he was the perfect piece to this team, can kind of play all over the place, led the league in hits for a few years, kind of that veteran presence, the guy who can come up in a late inning situation and put wood on the ball, put a ball in play, make the defense make a play, has decent speed for his age. He has just regressed mightily. And the thing is, it's when he signed here, he knew the role he was getting into. He understood he was not going to be an everyday player. He understood that he was going to be a guy that kind of steps in once or twice a week to fill in, and that was going to be his role. And he has struggled at the plate mightily. I mean, let me just see, what is he? Just want to see. I somehow spelled Wit wrong. Whit Merrifield's hitting 171 this year with a 517 OPS. So really not great. Really, really not good. And like I said, he is just been massively disappointing. And the Phillies are blessed in a position to where it kind of reminds me of when they cut Odubel, when they cut Juris Familia, when they cut Didi, back when they went on the run in 2022. It might remind me of that kind of move where they cut Witt, they go with Cody Clemens, the young kid, and rely on him. Or Greg Dobbs, don't you forget, you heard it here first. It might be one of those situations. We just don't know at this point. Um, and we'll see. I doubt Witt gets DFA'd, but again, we've seen this front office. If you're not performing, see you later. Especially guys on 1-year deals, because you got to look. Didi was on the last year of his deal. Juris Familia was a 1-year deal. Odubel was a 1-year deal. So cut your losses and go. And we might be aiming towards that with Witt. We really, again, we don't know. I never want to see a guy lose his job, but look, this is the reality of it. And if you're not performing, another team is going to pick him up. But like, I doubt if the Phillies DFA Whit Merrifield, I doubt he will have a problem finding a starting job somewhere. I mean, the White Sox, for God's sakes, but regardless. An interesting player that came up to replace Brandon Marsh is David Dahl. Now, David Dahl, for those of you who don't know, has been up and down in the major leagues for a few years now. Let me just pull up his reference since 2016. So David Dahl was actually a first round pick back in 2012 by the Colorado Rockies. He's kind of been a little injured and just can't really stay healthy. But he was an all-star in 2019 and he hit 302 with an 877 OPS in 100 games. But again, injury. He spent time with the Rangers. He spent time in San Diego, and now he finds his way here. And I've been a David Dahl guy for a while. And immediately his impact has been made. He's at a home run, a double, a single. He's been playing extremely well. So I feel like he's going to be the everyday left fielder from here on out, depending on the matchup. Obviously, late in one of those Brewers games, you pinched hit Christian Pache for David Dahl and ultimately nearly cost you a game, but fortunately it didn't. Another thing is, why is he wearing number 35? Wasn't a rhetorical question. It was, why in God's name is David Dahl wearing number 35? I don't understand. Because it was kind of like an unspoken agreement that 6, 11, 26, and 35 were kind of all going to be retired. And now here we are. Here we are being like, here's 35. We saw it last year with Drew Ellis. We saw it this year with David Dahl. Like, what the hell are we doing? Cole Hamels' number should not be worn. It should be retired. They haven't given out 6, 11, or 26 since those guys left. So why the hell are we giving out 35 like it's willy-nilly? Anyway. Also, we saw the return of Wes Wilson. He is back on on the roster, which, you know, I'm a big Wes Wilson fan. We all remember what happened when he came up last year with the home run and just a great story. And I love Wes Wilson. I think he's a solid player. Might see him this weekend because I believe they're facing Sean Manaea. Let me look up the pitching matchups. Let me hit up MLB.com. I'm pretty sure for the London series, they are facing. I'm not going to buy tickets. This is what I hate about. This is what I hate about MLB's like website is they literally will be like, oh, you want to buy tickets? No, I just want to see who the hell's pitching. They haven't announced anything. I'm pretty sure they're facing Sean Manaea for one of the games, so I'm sure we'll see Wes Wilson in there. But back to the Phillies. The Phillies took 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals. We had those scary back to the box with Ranger. He left the game after 2 innings, and the Phillies bullpen was able to be nails. I was scared. I was very spooked when Ranger got hit with that ball because I'm like, oh, there it is. There's the breaking injury that's going to screw up everything. But fortunately, he looks like he is making his next start against the Mets Saturday. Time to address the elephant in the room. One second. Any Hoosers. It's Taijuan Walker. What are we doing? Why in God's name? I'm talking to you, Rob Thompson. Why in God's name? Sure. Why in God's name are we rolling Taijuan Walker out there still? He is so bad at baseball. He is topping out at 89 miles an hour and throwing meatballs over the plate. So please enlighten me. Why are we still throwing him out there? He is awful. He provides nothing to this team other than, sorry guys, you're down 4-0. Good luck. Hope the bats came hot today. No. Like I can't fathom it. Some people had theories. One of the theories is it's Topper being like, "Oh, you're mad about not pitching in the postseason. There you go. Prove it. Prove you can do it." And he didn't, and he hasn't, and he will continue not to. Um, I don't get it. I don't. If it comes down to just the money, it is literally just the money. Because I promise you, and I don't think this is a huge secret to anybody. I guarantee that if Taiwan Walker was making, or excuse me, if Spencer Turnbull was making what Taiwan Walker is, it would be the other way around. Taiwan, his ass will be so quickly in that bullpen, and Spencer Turnbull will be in the starting rotation. But no, because Taiwan Walker is making a dumb amount of money. Listen, John Middleton, Dave Dombrowski, it's okay to admit you were wrong about a move. It is fine. It is okay. It happens. Baseball contracts are finicky. You're paying essentially for past performances. So you got to understand that, yes, you can make some bad business moves and give out some bad contracts. That's okay. Just say, hey, we screwed up. Taiwan, the best spot for you was going to be mop up duty in the bullpen. And Spencer, you earned this spot. Here you go. But they're not. They're not. Well, Jared, Spencer Turnbull might not be good anymore. Listen, we kind of saw him come in after Ranger got hurt and threw three perfect innings. Wasn't it three? Hold on. Bear with me. It was the 2-4 game. Spencer Turnbull pitched. No, it wasn't this game. It's this one. Spencer Turnbull pitched three perfect innings, struck out six. Oh, how did Taiwan Walker do, you might ask? It's a good question. Oh, Tyrone Walker, 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 home runs. The usual Taiwan. What's his ERA at this year? Oh, 5.73 in 37 and 2/3. Is that good? Is that is that good? I forget. Oh, and what's Spencer Turnbull's? That's a great question. Silly, silly, silly me. Oh, Spencer Turnbull in 44 and a third has a 2.64. Which one's in the starting rotation? I'm curious. I forget. So stupid. Um, I kind of touched on this a little bit, but I'm a little worried about Bryson Stott and Kyle Schwarber. They have been more bad than good this year, and I think that's just a testament to how good this Phillies team really is, because you have two of your top bats in the lineup really not performing at a high level as they can, and they're still putting up massive amount of runs. They're still going on runs. Um, I'm more so worried about Schwarber than I am about Stott. Yes, I'm more worried about Schwarber than I am about Stott. Um, Sorry. Talking about AC is fun. Bum, bum, bum. I'm a little more worried about Schwarber than I am Stott. I feel like Stott has a track record of going on runs where we saw it even earlier this year, um, where he just kind of goes on a run. Schwarber, it just, I don't know. I mean, it just looks like, let me see. I mean, Schwarber, he has a higher batting average, but the power just isn't there. And it worries me a little bit. Now, mind you, Schwarber could definitely go on like a run where he hits 10 home runs in 10 games. We've seen him do it, and it looks like he's just missing these balls. So I feel like he's going to break out anytime. We kind of talked about Witt and Pache sucking. Now we get to the Milwaukee series. Now the Milwaukee series, that was a heartfelt one. Obviously, we see the return of Rhys Hoskins. Now for me, Rhys Hoskins was one of, if not my favorite Philly during his time here, because he was the first Philly to kind of give me hope that the Phillies were going to be good again. He came up at the end of 2017, went on that ridiculous run. We said the left field season in 2018. And then it kind of got into like the new era of Phillies when they signed Harper, Segura, McCutcheon, JT. Um, he was kind of the guy that, yeah, they brought in all these outsiders, these militiamen, but Hoskins is still here. He's the guy that brought back hope for the Phillies. And he had massive home runs in the playoffs. I mean, the bat spike, the 2 home runs in the NLCS against the Padres, the home run in the World Series, even. And yes, listen, he had the sour note of the bad game, game 5 of the World Series, and then game 6, he was a no show. And he was a fan favorite, and he got 3 separate standing ovations. But I forgot I propped my chair. But Jared, I thought Phillies fans were the worst fans in baseball. I thought Philadelphia were a bunch of scumbags. And I always like to refer, and I got to pull it up, so I'm just going to kind of filibuster here because I think this quote perfectly, excuse me, encapsulates Reese's time here. Um So it is actually from Jason Kelsey during his retirement speech. And this is, I think, speaks true to Philadelphia fans and everything. Jason Kelsey said, quote, "They will love you in this city if you love it the way you love your brother. You will be loved by going above and beyond to show that you care because they care. They've been caring for generations in this town about this team, and they aren't about to accept a bunch of excusive and soft ass nonsense representing the name on the front of the jersey, something they've invested their entire lives in. If you don't like what the fans and the media are saying as a player, it's very easy. Love them, love them, treat them like your brothers, and go out there and play your balls off." That's from Jason Kelsey's retirement speech. And so, I mean, who, and Reese, I feel like encapsulated. Sorry. The reason I get so emotional talking about Reese is he was my grandpa's favorite player, and my grandpa was the reason I love baseball. Um, growing up during the '07 to 11 run, I watched every game with my grandpa. We watched every game during the bad times, and I remember explicitly talking about Reese Hoskins with my grandpa when we would go out to breakfast. And my grandpa passed away in 2021, and Reese Hoskins was a big part of me falling in love with baseball again. And to see him come back was awesome. To see him get the ovation that he deserves was awesome. Um, of course, he had the homer against Wheeler, which I had a lot of money on him hitting a homer against Nola, but fortunately, Nola had other ideas for Reese Hoskins. Um, and I got to give a shout out to JT. That guy took a ball right off the nads and stayed in the game, then got another beating, a collision at home plate, and guy's a stud. JT, potential all-star. We're getting there. We're getting there. Speaking of potential all-stars, could Orion Kirkring just F around and go to the All-Star game? I mean, he got confidence in his fastball. I doubt he's going to make it, but God, he is fun to watch. He's finally prioritizing. This was something that I kind of touched on back talking about him when he first came up, and even in the playoffs, that it was slider, 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 fastball. And they kind of flipped it where it's fastball, 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 slider. And the reason they was slider, slider, fastball initially was because he didn't have trust in his fastball. Now Cotham tweaked something to where he has zip on his fastball, and now he can play off that slider. Kirking's gonna be a stud. Matt Strahm has to be an all-star. I'll talk about Phillies all-stars in a minute. And we'll get to that. Is June Casty a thing? Now, we talk about June Schwarber till we're blue in the face, but I mean, you got to look at what Nick Castellanos has done. Nick Castellanos. Cassie's heating up. Let me see. Scroll down here by year 2024 by month. I mean, his past 2 weeks, he's hitting 264 with an 857 OPS, 4 home runs, and 9 RBIs. That's pretty good. Casty's heating up. I don't know what's going on. Something I've noticed, his approach is a little different. He's working better at bats. He's working walks and everything like that. So Casty could be back. Now that's the Phils. Now we're getting into the fun stuff here. Like I said, like I'm very blessed in where I have a baseball team that's very good. There's not a lot to complain about, and it almost sounds redundant at this point. But Phillies are just a wagon, man. I want to get to my All-Star ballot. Okay. My All-Star ballot. I think it's perfect. I have to delete all these because my brother, I needed pictures for him. Okay, so my All-Star ballot. Starting in the American League. I'm just gonna go around the diamond. So at catcher, I have Adley Rutschman of the Baltimore Orioles. At first base, I have Ryan Mountcastle of the Baltimore Orioles. At second base, I have Marcus Semien of the Texas Rangers. At shortstop, I have Bobby Witt Jr. of the Kansas City Royals. At third base, I have Jose Ramirez of the Cleveland Guardians. In the outfield, I have Aaron Judge and Juan Soto of the New York Yankees. And here's where it gets funny. I have Matt Vierling as the other starter in the All-Star game. Matt Vierling, former Phil, uh Matt Vierling, former Phil. I was pulling up his stats on my phone, but then I realized I'll just do it on my computer. So not Matt Vierling. So Matt Vierling this year in 55 games is hitting 281 with a 792 OPS, 7 home runs, 28 RBIs. How many walks? No stolen bases for Matty V. That's surprising. He's usually kind of a speed demon. But screw it. I got Matt Vierling in there. Because it's fun. It's fun. And I have Brent Rooker as my DH in the American League. Going over the National League, at catcher, I have JT Realmuto. And I feel like it's going to be William Contreras on the Brewers, but JT, I got to rep my boys. At first base, I have Bryce Harper. At second base, I have Ketel Marte of the Arizona Diamondbacks. At shortstop, I have Mookie Betts on the Dodgers. At third base, I have Alec Boehm. And the outfield, I have Cody Bellinger on the Chicago Cubs. I have Jurickson Profar on the San Diego Padres. And I have Christian Yelich of the Milwaukee Brewers. And of course, at DH, it's Shohei. Guy loves betting. Um, and yeah, that's my All-Star bracket. So I think that's pretty good. Now, moving on to Matt's Dude of the Week. Matt's Dude of the Week is a fun one because I remember when he was on the Nationals and guy just mashed. That is, of course, Adam Dunn. Now, you guys remember Adam Dunn? Guy mashed. He was the original, like, batting average does not matter. I hit the ball far. A guy, because the guy's OPS, what is his career OPS? He averaged an 854 OPS. What is his career? Any Hoosers. Guy mashed. Now, Adam Dunn, Matt's quote, dude hit tanks. Yay, did. So Adam Dunn played from 2001 to 2014. His 162 game average was a 237 batting average, an 854 OPS. He averaged 37 home runs a year. Averaged 37 home runs. From 2004 until 2008, he averaged 40 home runs a year. And even after that, in 2 seasons in Washington, he had 38 home runs, a 41 home run campaign for the White Sox in 2012. Like, the guy mashed. The guy simply just mashed. Um, yeah, Adam Dunn, Philly killer. What was his career against the Phils? Hold on, let me bring up stat muse. I really should save all these stuff to my search bar so I don't have to like search it. Adam Dunn career versus Phillies. Adam Dunn hit 243 with 22 home runs and 50 RBIs in 90 games against the Phillies in his career. He had a 900 OPS in his career against the Phillies. Guy, Philly killer. Matt, okay, so kind of piggybacking off of Matt a little bit here, he did make a list of all-star guys with just Philly killers. Where is he? Matt Saporsky. I feel like I just right here. Of just Philly killers. Are you ready? So we have Carlos Santana, Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Jeremy Pena, Mark Canha, Juan Soto, Kyle Tucker, Martin Maldonado, Yordan Alvarez, Josh Bell, Ozzy Albies, Austin Riley, Miguel Rojas, Michael Conforto, Adam Duvall, Brandon Nimmo, Travis Darno, and Marcelo Zuna. All Philly killers. I would have put Jacob Stallings at the catcher position, but that's just me. Because the dude, ironically enough, the last home run that Matt Strahm gave up was to Jacob Stallings, of all people. Of course it was. Now moving on to John's hot takes. John's first hot take: ketchup should be banned. I agree. I'm not a ketchup guy. Sue me. Ketchup, extremely overrated. Extremely overrated ketchup. I'm fine with eating my fries dry. That's fine. Don't care. Ketchup is overrated. It's too damn sweet. And I understand, oh, sweet and sour. I don't care. I do not care. Do I look like I care? Trick question. I don't. The All-Star game should ban the one player per team rule. I completely agree. Look, if your team sucks, you shouldn't have an All-Star there. Plain and simple. It should be given to guys who deserve it and have played at an All-Star level. Plain and simple. The Phillies record was five players who were ready to go or on the All-Star game. I forget what year it was, but I'm pretty sure it was Halladay, Lee, Victorino, Rollins, Utley, or Ruiz maybe in one of those years. Let me look that up. Because I remember Ruiz was in Phillies All-Stars. One, two, three, four, five. Okay, I was way off. In 2011, what just happened? My computer screen just completely went blank for a second. And I literally thought like everything was game over. Game over, man. It was Roy Halladay, Cole Hamels, Cliff Lee, Placido Polanco, underrated, and Shane Victorino in the 2011 All-Star game. The Phillies have an argument to where they could have 10 people in the All-Star game, and those people are as followed: Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Alec Boehm, which all three of them I think will make the All-Star team. Now with the pitchers are selected. They are not voted and they're selected. I think the pitchers legitimately are going to be Wheeler, Nola, and Suarez and Strahm. I feel like those four are going to. But for the sake of this argument, the Phillies' 10 reps are Bryce, JT, Boehm, Wheeler, Nola, Chris Sanchez, I think deserves it, Ranger, Jeff Hoffman, Matt Strahm, and Jose Alvarado. I think there's an argument to where those guys deserve to be in the All-Star game, and I agree. Now moving on to the series preview against the Mets, the London series, the awesome London series. I'm very excited to watch that. Unfortunately, we have to watch Taijuan Walker pitch, but regardless, take care of business. Plain and simple. You're the best team in baseball. Now go out and prove it. And then we have against the Red Sox. The Red Sox pitching is very, very good. Their offense is not. So it's going to be a very low-scoring series, in my opinion. It's kind of two juggernaut pitching staffs going at it. And so we'll see. So that's actually going to do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening and bearing with me during these annoying times. But I will be back on Wednesday with the new episodes going over those series and with all any news and updates and everything. If you like what you watched, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, follow all the socials down below, and I will see you guys on Wednesday.